Welcome, third graders. We're going to be doing first a few minutes of reviewing what you've already been doing with perspective. Remember our cubes. We started off doing it from a vanishing point and having fun with coloring them in. We did the other one I'm not even showing you about opening the box this summer. You can add more of these things to be doing. We did the birthday cake in class where we did it with a circle and a cylinder. And here's more of when we were doing that lesson of remembering the dots that we were using. This next lesson we're going to do is we're going to have strictly fun with, but using that dot method that we used in the cakes. And you're going to end up stacking some rectangular shapes, some of them on pedestals, and adding some fun little figures coming out of little holes if you want in there. We're going to talk about shading a little bit. The reason why this looks three-dimensional, besides the little rectangle shapes, is the shading makes a huge difference in giving the dimension to one side of the drawing. As we start this, I start with a ruler, and here I've got another, I think I showed you this sample before with the little people coming out of their little cubes and peeking around. So you can see how this artist did that. That was a Mark Rothko fun thing he did. And he normally doesn't have people coming out of his paintings. On this one he did. So when you take your piece of paper, and again, if you don't have a large sheet, you can do this on a small sheet of paper. So you can take a piece of computer paper. In fact, later on when you're playing with this, you can use stacks of computer paper as long as you're not running out, and do the same thing and have a lot of fun playing with this. So again, what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to just give me a straight line down the center of my paper. I'm just going to do a straight line because I'm going to work everything off this straight line. If you look here, here's my straight line. I'm working one edge of my rectangle off the thing. If you see here, I have little dots. We're going to use that same method we used in the cylinder lesson to look at what the dots are doing. So how I start this is, see if I can do this upside down. I'm going to start at the top with a little one. I'm going to put a dot on my line. I'm going to come up and put two dots coming out. I'm going to put another dot on the top one. That once we get going, I'm not going to have a line back there on a dot. So if I connect all of my dots, I've got the top of a box. I'm going to drop down right there on my line, just kind of short. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. And then I'm going to come and connect them. So now I've made my first cube. If you want to be real exacting, you can use the ruler, but you don't have to do it on this lesson. So now I'm going to come down with another dot. I move down. Here's my second one. I'm going to bring the dots further out. I'm going to come out and move them up again, but I'm going to bring it, maybe I'll bring it out up here. If I took my ruler and I went out by my rectangle and I put the dots out there. So I'm taking my dots coming straight out from here. So here's my dots. So then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to come back down, back up here to that one. And then I'm going to let it disappear behind the first cube. So that's the top of the box. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down. So here's my sides. And I'm going to do, remember, I'm paralleling what we've done in class too. If you get a little off, don't worry about it. So here I've got the top box. I've got the next box. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to come down. I'm going to put the dot. I'm going to come over here. If it helps you to use the ruler to come back on each side, go ahead and do that. That just puts me in being able to go behind. So I'm going to put my two dots up here. You see they're coming straight out from the edge of where my box is. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come over don't worry about it. With this one, these are called fun ones. I'm going to come back. There's that top sheet. Now I'm going to make this one narrower. So I'm going to make shorter legs on it coming down. And I'm going to come over. So you can see how these are stacking. Little one, medium, getting bigger. I can come down. On this one, I'm going to give myself a post. So now I'm going to come way down here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, this time, come out, kind of watching that parallel. And I'm going to come straight up because I'm not giving myself a top. I'm giving myself a post underneath there. And all I'm going to see are two sides. So right now when you're looking at this, it doesn't have dimension, but if I start, I'm going to start doing some of the shadowing. So I'm going to do some cross hatching on first the side of each one. You can wait and do this until you have all of them done, but for right now I'm going to show you how it's starting to happen. So I'm doing this now. All of a sudden I'm starting to get a little more dimension happening. What I'm going to do is put that on the sides, and what I do, so I've done double on the sides. When I come out on the top of a thing, I'm just going to use a single cross hatching to show the direction. So that's kind of like the shadow that's coming out on the side. And then here, because it's underneath and it's showing another shadow, I come with a straight up one just at this top part. That's going to give it more dimension. So here I am again. I'm going to come now with a bigger box. I'm going to put my dot down below. I'm going to come out from here. Again, if I was using my ruler or if I eyeball it, I can come straight out. Now I'm back to doing this again. You can see I'm just repeating and repeating. Now this I'm going to go back behind. I paralleled it to this line. And this is the same thing here. I'm paralleling it to that line. So now I have a flat sheet of paper one. I'm going to come down to give it dimension. I drop the legs again. Coming over. There, you can start to see what's starting to happen. Now, if I want to do, I'm going to make a bigger box. So I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to come out again. My ruler on the bottom ones, I can do that. Maybe make this a big box. Okay, so I'm going to come back. Remember, this one's going parallel back in. I'm going to drop these legs way down here. And I'm going to parallel. That should have been a little longer. And I'm going to parallel this one. So you can see at this point, on this one, each one of these, this one's got a little more stacks. This one has a big stack down here at the bottom. I'm going to do that same thing of shadowing in a shadow. I'm going to cross hatch these. You can see what that shadowing is doing for the 3-dimension. So we use cross-hatching in all kinds of drawings, whether we're sketching or doing the other. Now here I'm going to put it like here. What I did down at the bottom is I put it on sitting on a cliff. So then I just came out with a jaggedy cliff type fun that I'm going to curve back and forth so I can show you it's the same idea. I'm coming down with curves of cliff coming down from where my points are, and over here I can do it here where the whole thing is sitting up on a pedestal. Okay, it's going to sit on a very, very narrow pedestal. Okay, so we'll do that. And then that can be fun to come back and just, again, I'm going to throw a shadow coming off of this side, same side. My shadows are always coming off the same side. So I can do that in there. The fun part with this one is I can shadow. This time I'm going to curve a little more because these are curved lines for my cliff. So I'm doing a little more of what that top line is doing rather than straight. I'm kind of giving it a little more on both of my sides. I'm showing my shadowy part. I can even have grass growing in parts of it. I can put other things on top here to show you what's going to be happening. Okay, and I can keep coming back and shadowing until I like the way it looks, you know, on this. So here, I think because that's a bigger box, I'm going to come back up on both ways. Okay, so the fun part here of putting the circles in is I'm going to come around and I'm just going to draw in first some circles on different ones. I'm going to put one here on the shaft. Maybe I'll put one up here. To make that dimension, I'm just coming back like with a half moon on one side to make the window where you can see the window edge. You see what that's doing? It's kind of giving the side of a cube inside. I'm going to do it down here so it's a half moon. I'm following the curve right there. So now I've got the window. So if I'm going to put in these funny little cartoon characters, I can come out anywhere I want. So say if I want a funny kind of a snake figure coming out, I can come and have him coming here. When I color him in, all of my lines here will be gone. You can see this is where you can get into your markers and have your figure coming out. I guess I can put some big eyes up here on him. I can go, these are where we get into little cartoony fun things that we do. So you can see what he's doing. So I would be coloring him in. I could, there I was doing more green. I can put cute little eyelashes on them. I can have all kinds of fun things. I can have just a little face peeking out here that all you see is maybe a nose coming over and eyes. And you can make, each time you make your little figures, you can have like a little hand coming out, like almost a frog coming out of one, and then a face behind it, maybe with the eyes. Maybe this one is going to be a little frog, and a great big mouth coming in there. So as you do these, you can have fun taking this lesson you're doing in perspective and turning it into a house for all of your little creatures to live in. Have fun with this. This one too, you can come back in with markers and color in on top. If you were using a color, if you draw this all in black crayon or in marker, your shadows are still going to show through. So if you want to come back and color in your spaces, you want to fill it in tight, not scribbled, but you can actually come in and make this a very colorful picture by coming back with your markers and still being able to see through. I really recommend markers over crayons because the marker, your cross-hatching will show through. And even with here where I just used a black pencil and not a crayon, the shading is going to show through when I fill that in. And I might do the same thing we did when we did the build a box or some of your other perspective and do different colors on different sides if I wanted to. Have fun with this lesson. This is one you can be doing a lot of different pictures in and remembering the little trick of the dots are going higher to make it work. And the center line on this one gives you a straight line to work them all on. See what you can come up with in this lesson. You're going to have a lot of fun with this. Have fun.